Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. We're going to be jumping into some really interesting historical documents today
Oh, yeah.
from the JFK research community.
I'm excited.
We're going back to 1989,
Okay.
almost 25 years after the assassination.
Wow.
At this point, the government investigations have fizzled out, you know,
Yeah.
and it's private researchers and publications that are really carrying the torch,
Right.
keeping that flame alive.
Yeah.
So we're looking specifically at this really cool research journal.
Okay.
It was published at State University College, Fredonia, New York.
Interesting.
It's called The Third Decade.
Okay.
And we're looking at Volume 5, Issue 5, from July 1989.
Got it.
So this is
Yeah.
going to be good.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at some intriguing claims about Lee Harvey Oswald's time in the USSR.
Ooh.
Possible connections between General Edwin Walker and Oswald,
Interesting.
and even a mysterious group called CUSA with potential ties to the assassination.
Wow. Okay. This is going to be good.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
I'm ready.
All right, so
Let's do it.
the issue kicks off with an editorial
Okay.
by the editor Jerry Rose,
Okay.
and it's called The Third Decade, halfway through.
Okay.
And he really paints a picture of what the research landscape was like at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit of frustration
Sure.
and a bit of disappointment
Yeah. Why is that?
because, you know, the HSCA investigation, which was
Yeah.
supposed to give us all the answers,
Yeah.
it kind of left people feeling like,
Like they didn't quite get there.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they were hoping for more.
Yeah. Dissatisfied.
Dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's really no public funding for this type of research.
Right.
So it's really,
So it's all privately funded.
yeah, it's
Oh.
all these dedicated researchers
Yeah.
that are just driven by this desire for the truth.
Yeah. That's
And
impressive.
they want accountability,
Yeah.
and they're relying on their own resources.
Yeah.
And creating these networks to share information. And
Yeah. It's like a whole
They're-
community of
yeah.
investigators.
it's like citizen detectives, basically.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Very cool.
So one of the first articles here is Stray Shots the Fifth, Oswald in the USSR, Seamen Everywhere Else.
What?
Yeah,
No.
It's by Scott Van Winsberg.
Okay.
And this one dives into the mystery surrounding Oswald's time in the Soviet Union.
Got it.
And, you know, you've got Yuri Nosenko, this KGB defector,
Right.
and there's conflicting accounts about what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
It's always interesting to hear about the defectors.
Yeah.
You never know what side they're really on.
well, that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Nosenko's defection was a big deal
Yeah.
in the JFK story.
Absolutely.
But like you said, you never know
Right.
what side they're on or
Right. Or what their motivation is.
what their motivations are.
Yeah.
And he claims that Oswald was essentially a nobody.
Really?
Yeah. Like the KGB didn't take him seriously.
Interesting.
But that you have people who are like,
But how much can we trust that?
yeah, right?
Right.
Was he a genuine defector
Yeah.
with real insights, or was
Yeah.
he
Was he a
a
plague?
disinformation agent
Trying to throw us off.
to muddy the waters?
Yeah.
So
It's tough to know.
it's hard to know.
Yeah.
And the article brings up 3 books
Okay.
that tackle this whole issue.
Okay.
The Stormbirds
Mm-hmm.
by Gordon Brooks Shepard,
Okay.
Deception by Edward J. Epstein,
Okay.
and Windows
Mm-hmm.
by William R. Corson, Susan B. Trento, and Joseph J. Trento.
Got it.
Each one offers a different perspective on Nosenko
Yeah.
and the way the KGB handled Oswald.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. And one of the interesting things is
What's that?
that Nosenko himself had a maritime background.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes his dismissal of Oswald as a former Marine even more curious.
That's a good point.
Right. Because
Yeah.
wouldn't you think that he would see the potential
Yeah, you would think he would.
in someone with Oswald's background?
Right. And somebody with his
Yeah.
experience and knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange.
So it's just another little layer of complexity
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this whole story.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's this anecdote about Yekaterina Furseva.
Who's that?
She was a powerful Soviet official,
Okay.
and she might have stepped in
Okay.
to prevent Oswald's deportation
Really?
yeah, from the USSR.
Wow. So she was.
Early on,
She may have been.
when he first got there.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. And they were thinking about deporting him.
Interesting.
But
Who
she,
did she-
she might have intervened and said no.
Wow. That's really fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah?
And then you've got this other thing with Windows,
Okay.
where they present a discrepancy
Mm-hmm.
in the timeline
Okay.
regarding the KGB director
Yeah.
and Oswald's time in the USSR.
Right.
So it suggests that there was this meeting that couldn't have happened
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Based on the facts.
based on the facts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So another little inconsistency there.
Another inconsistency.
Yeah.
And these are the things that keep researchers digging.
Right, because why is that there?
Yeah, why is that there?
Why didn't it line up?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good point.
So,
Okay, so Oswald's time in Russia.
yeah,
Super interesting.
a lot of mystery there.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to another article.
Okay.
This one's also by Jerry Rose,
Okay.
and it's called Heidel Again.
Heidel again?
This one focuses on the A.J. Heidel identification papers
Oh, right.
that were found on Oswald.
Yeah.
So you've got the Fabricated Selective Service Notice of Classification,
Okay.
the Certificate of Service,
Okay.
and the membership card for the Fair Play for Cuba Committee.
Got it.
So these documents
Yeah.
were a key part of the official narrative,
Sure.
right? Portraying Oswald as a communist sympathizer
Right.
with ties to pro-Castro organizations.
Yeah. Okay.
But Rose raises doubts about the authenticity
Really?
of these documents.
Interesting.
Yeah. He points out that Oswald wasn't carrying the notice of classification
Right.
when he was arrested for that street demonstration in New Orleans
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Earlier that year.
earlier that year.
Yeah.
And then the police didn't even mention the Heidel documents.
When they arrested him for the assassination.
Initially, when they arrested him for the assassination.
Wow.
It's like they just appeared.
It's like they magically appeared.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that raises the question then of, did Oswald even forge these himself, or were they planted
Yeah.
to make it look like he did,
Did he create these documents, or
Yeah.
was someone trying to set him up?
to frame him?
Yeah. It's like a classic mystery.
Yeah.
And the article even highlights the discrepancies
Okay.
in the FPCC card,
Okay.
suggesting that the one they say they found on Oswald
Yeah.
might not have even been the same one he had
Oh, wow.
during his arrest in New Orleans.
That's interesting.
Okay.
So what are we saying then?
Well, if it was a frame-up,
Yeah.
that opens up a whole new can of worms, right?
It does.
The
Like
who-
benefits it.
Who benefits from making Oswald look like this lone wolf communist?
Right.
And what were their motives?
Exactly. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, okay. So we got a few things here.
We've got Oswald's mysterious trip to the Soviet Union,
Right.
possible forged documents.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about General Edwin Walker.
Okay.
So he was an outspoken anti-communist,
Okay.
and President Kennedy had relieved him of his army command.
Got it.
So,
So he wasn't happy with Kennedy then.
no, not at all.
Okay.
He was known for his extreme right-wing views
Yeah.
and his association with various extremist groups.
Okay.
He was a very controversial
Yeah,
figure
I can imagine.
in the politically charged atmosphere
Right.
of the early 1960s.
Absolutely.
Now, in an article called Nut Country, The Friends of General Walker,
Okay.
Jerry Rose explores the potential connection
Between the two.
between Walker and Oswald.
Okay.
He even highlights Walker's preemptive alibi for the assassination.
What do you mean by that?
Like he knew.
Like he knew he was going to be a suspect.
Yeah. Wow. As if he knew
Oh, that's interesting.
he was going to be a suspect.
Okay.
And then there's this whole thing where Walker tries to connect Oswald
Yeah.
to the sniper attack on him
Oh, right.
that happened earlier that year.
Right.
And this is especially interesting
Okay.
when you consider the undated note from Oswald to his wife,
Oh, yeah.
which seems to surface
At a convenient time.
at just the right time to clear Walker
Wow.
of any involvement.
Yeah, it's suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Yeah.
And then we can't forget about
What's that?
the planned heckling demonstration against Kennedy
Really?
by Walker's associates.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They were going to give him a very hostile reception in Dallas.
So they didn't like Kennedy either.
Not at all.
Okay.
It makes you wonder if that atmosphere of animosity
Yeah.
played a role
Right.
in what happened.
Yeah, it makes you think about the bigger picture.
Right.
Like, was this just a lone gunman?
Yeah.
Or was there this political extremism and animosity that was building up?
Yeah.
And it all kind of came to a head that day.
Right. And it all came together.
Wow.
So
Okay, so
we've got Oswald's mysterious trip to the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
We've got the possibility of forged documents.
Right.
We've got this disgruntled general
With his network.
with his network of associates.
Yeah,
It's a very tangled web,
it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
with each thread kind of leading to another piece of the puzzle.
Right. And it seems like we're just getting
Oh,
started.
yes. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
Now we're going to dive even deeper
I'm ready.
into that sniper attack on General Walker.
Okay.
And we're going to encounter a very mysterious figure named William McEwen Duff.
William McEwen Duff. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
This guy, Duff, it's like something out of a spy thriller.
Yeah.
So he's employed by General Walker
Okay.
And he's dismissed right before this shooting incident. He gets
Wow.
arrested,
Uh-huh.
but then passes a polygraph test
Really?
and is released.
So he's in the clear.
Well,
But see, it seems.
That's what you think.
You're right. There's more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Walker is still convinced that Duff was involved.
Interesting.
So he hires these two private detectives,
Okay.
Cliff Roberts and William Keister,
Got it.
to investigate him further.
Okay.
And get this.
What?
These detectives move into the same apartment building as Duff
Oh, wow.
and offer him money to shoot Walker.
Are you serious?
Like, it's straight out of a movie.
They're trying to entrap him.
It's a total entrapment scheme.
Wow.
So Duff, understandably freaked out,
Yeah.
and reports the detectives to the FBI.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, the whole thing ends up with the FBI saying,
Yeah.
we don't think Duff was involved in the Walker shooting.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
Roberts later admitted to the FBI
Yeah.
that they only continued the investigation to appease Walker.
Really?
Yeah,
So they were just doing it to keep him quiet?
pretty much.
Wow. That's really strange.
Yeah, so was Duff really innocent?
Yeah.
Or was he just lucky
To not get caught up in this
to
way.
escape this whole web of intrigue?
Right. And what about those detectives?
Right.
Were they just going rogue?
Yeah, were they acting on their own?
Or were they following orders from somebody?
It makes you wonder.
Yeah, it really does.
And it gets even weirder.
What?
Duff comes out years later
Okay.
and claims that he saw Jack Ruby visit Walker's home.
What?
But the FBI dismisses his testimony.
Of course they do.
Right.
So,
Another little detail.
yeah, another one of those little things that makes you go,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Duff gets cleared in the Walker shooting.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh. And then he enlists in the army,
Okay.
but he gets discharged
Oh,
for fraudulent enlistment.
really?
Yeah, apparently he hid some prior military service.
Okay.
And guess who helps Duff
Who?
after he gets kicked out of the army?
I don't know.
Clyde Watts,
Who's Clyde Watts?
a close friend of Walker's.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Watts actually went with Walker
Yeah.
to the Warren Commission hearings.
So this
in
guy,
his bar.
Duff might have tried to shoot Walker.
Yeah.
Then he implicates him with Jack Ruby.
Right.
And then he gets help from Walker's friend.
It's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
So was Duff being manipulated by Walker this whole time?
Yeah, was he just a pawn?
Yeah. Or are we just seeing all these random events
Right.
that seem connected?
That seemed connected in hindsight?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another interesting part
Okay.
of this issue of the third decade.
All right.
Remember Bernard Weissman?
Yeah. Remind me. He was the guy behind that controversial Welcome Mr. Kennedy ad
Oh, yeah, right?
in the Dallas Morning News.
That was a wild one.
Yeah, it accused Kennedy of treason
Yeah.
and appeasement of communists.
Wow.
And a lot of people saw it as adding to that hostile climate
Yeah.
in Dallas
All right.
in the days leading up to the assassination.
Absolutely.
Now, Rose, in his Nut Country article,
Yeah.
reveals that Weissman was a member of this right-wing group
Okay.
called CUSA,
USA.
which stands for Conservative USA.
Got it.
And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
CUSA originated in Munich, Germany,
Oh, wow.
among U.S. Army enlistees,
Okay.
under the command of guess who?
I don't know who.
General Walker.
Of course.
Of course.
It always comes back to him.
It always comes back to Walker.
It's like he's the center of this whole web.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So the leader of CUSA was Larry Schmidt,
Okay.
and he had big plans
Oh, yeah.
to bring the group's operations to Dallas.
Really?
Yeah, he was infiltrating local right-wing organizations,
Wow.
and he was determined to bring his associates from Munich
To Dallas.
to Dallas.
So they could all be together.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really interesting.
And remember, the Warren Commission actually investigated
Oh, yeah.
the origins of that Welcome Mr. Kennedy ad.
Right. They were worried about the climate in Dallas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They thought that all that hate might have played a role
Right.
in the assassination.
Yeah.
And then years later, the House Select Committee
Mhm.
seems to just ignore all those unanswered questions.
Really?
Like they just brushed it under the rug.
Wow. So you're telling me that
Mhm.
there were all these loose ends?
Yeah.
They just kind of left them hanging.
Like certain aspects of the case
Yeah.
were being deliberately overlooked.
That's very strange.
Yeah, and to make things even more suspicious,
What?
after the assassination,
Okay.
Weissman and two of his CUSA buddies,
Okay.
they quit their jobs
Uh-huh.
and they leave Dallas. Yeah, the FBI couldn't find them for days.
Wow.
And Schmidt even gave the FBI misleading information
About where they were?
about where they were.
Wow. So they're on the run.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Were they running from something?
Yeah, what were they afraid of?
Or were they just afraid of getting caught up?
In the whole aftermath.
In all the chaos after the assassination.
It makes you wonder.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird incident
What happened?
where Weissman's boss tells him
Yeah.
that Larry Jones called.
Okay.
And Weissman says, somebody is crazy. I don't know anyone named Larry Jones.
But wait, Larry Jones was one of the CUSA guys?
Exactly.
So why is he denying knowing him?
It's like he's trying to distance himself
From the group.
from the group.
Wow. Okay.
And get this, Jones vanishes from Dallas.
After the assassination?
Yeah.
Wow, like he just disappeared.
Gone.
So we've got this group of right-wingers
Yeah.
influenced by Walker.
Uh-huh.
They put out this crazy anti-Kennedy ad, and then they skip town after the assassination,
Pretty much.
and one of them disappears completely.
It's all very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
So what's the conclusion here?
Well, there's no concrete evidence
Okay.
linking CUSA to the assassination,
Uh-huh.
but the timing of their actions,
Right.
all the unanswered questions,
Yeah.
it definitely warrants further investigation.
It does sound like there's more to this story.
It's like we're seeing pieces of a puzzle,
Right.
but we're still missing some big chunks.
Yeah, some key pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing how all these threads,
Yeah.
Oswald's time in the USSR,
Right.
the forged documents,
Yeah.
General Walker and his crew,
Yeah.
the sniper attack,
William Duff.
William Duff,
And CUSA.
CUSA.
Wow.
It's like they're all intertwined.
They are all connected somehow.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's a very complex and compelling narrative.
Yeah. And all this was uncovered by these independent researchers.
I know, it's really incredible. Without any help from the government.
It's a real testament to their dedication and persistence.
It is. They were piecing together all these fragments of information.
Yeah, shining a light into the dark corners of history.
Yeah, and they brought to light all these things that might have stayed hidden.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oh,
So-
what a story.
And it's amazing to think that almost 30 years after the assassination, these researchers were still finding new information,
Oh, I know. It's incredible.
challenging the official narrative.
Really makes you think.
It really speaks to their dedication
It does.
and the fact that there's still so much mystery
Yeah, there's so much we still don't know.
surrounding the JFK assassination.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their work reminds us that history isn't set in stone.
It's no.
It's a conversation that keeps going.
We're constantly reinterpreting things.
Yeah, re-examining and reinterpreting.
As new evidence comes up,
Exactly.
and new perspectives.
Yeah, and our understanding of the past can change.
Absolutely.
This deep dive into the third decade has definitely given us a lot to think about.
For sure.
I mean, we've gone from these obscure journals
Right.
to KGB defectors,
Yeah.
forged documents,
Uh-huh.
shadowy right-wing groups.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to process.
They're all connected somehow.
all connected to the events of November 22, 1963.
Crazy.
So we might never have all the answers,
Right.
but this exploration of the third decade,
Yeah.
it shows how important independent research is,
Absolutely.
critical thinking,
Yeah.
and always searching for the truth.
We can't just take things at face value.
Exactly. We have to question our assumptions,
Right.
look at things from different angles,
And be open to the possibility
that there's more to the story.
yeah, than we initially thought.
It meets the eye. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like we got a glimpse into this hidden world
Yeah.
where you have these dedicated researchers
Tirelessly working.
tirelessly pursuing the truth,
Yeah.
often facing a lot of skepticism and pushback.
Yeah, it wasn't easy for them.
No, they didn't let the lack of funding stop them.
They were determined.
They really believed
Yeah.
that the American people deserved to know
The whole story
the whole story
about what happened to their president.
Exactly.
Okay.
And their work still matters today
It does.
because it reminds us that we have the power
White citizens.
to investigate,
Yeah,
to challenge the official narrative,
absolutely.
and especially now with all the information out there.
Right, and all the misinformation, too.
It's more important than ever
To be critical.
to think critically.
To evaluate the information we're getting.
Yeah, and to look for different perspectives.
Not always easy,
No, it's not.
but it's so important.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with a challenge.
Okay, I like it.
Don't just accept what you read or hear.
Right.
Dig deeper.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Explore different sources.
Explore different sources.
And come to your own conclusion.
Exactly.
I love that.
The JFK assassination. It's a complex event,
It is.
And it's had a huge impact
Yeah.
on how we understand history,
Right.
politics,
And the search for truth
and the journey of discovery.
doesn't end here.
It doesn't end here.
We have to keep going.
It's up to all of us
Right.
to keep exploring
I love it.
and keep searching for the truth.
That's what it's all about.